Good morning. Welcome to Chocolate Box Cottage. I'm Michelle. I'm on my way to the melon patch to hand pollinate some squash blossoms and thought I'd take you along. The melon patch is where we grow our summer and winter squash, melons obviously, along with peas and potatoes and a few other miscellaneous foods. These are largely crops that don't need as much attention and will be used to see us through winter. We grow mostly heirloom varieties here at Chocolate Box Cottage, and in order to keep squash seeds pure, and this includes things like zucchini, or pumpkins, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, all those squash crops, in order to keep those seeds pure so that when you plant the seeds the next year, they're the same as the fruit you took them from. It is usually necessary to hand pollinate the squash blossoms. Now, if you're just growing one type, you can get away with it if you have a buffer around your place and no really close neighbors. But in order to ensure seed purity, I usually just go ahead and hand pollinate the flowers. Then I'm assured that I am saving pure seed from generation to generation. So come along. It's actually really easy to tell the male flowers apart from the female flowers once you know what you're looking for. It's true, squash plants have male and female blossoms on the same plant. The male flowers are just a flower atop a thin, straight stem like a toothpick. The female flowers are a blossom that's sitting on top of a small fruit. So this would be a squash in this case. And we need to control what happens between those flowers so that we can control the purity of the seed. So last night I came out here and I selected some male flowers, and I found female flowers also, and I've taped them shut. And what this does is it keeps the blossom closed and prevents insects from accessing it. It's important to do this the night before the flower opens. So something else you'll need to work on is learning to recognize when a flower is ready to open and when a flower has already opened. A flower is only pollinated once. So if you see a flower that is already open, it's already been visited by insects, and that one is not under consideration. What you're looking for are flowers that are tightly closed and yet have a blush of good strong yellow color on them and look like they're just ready to unfurl, kind of like popcorn getting ready to pop. The supplies that are needed to hand pollinate flowers include a roll of masking tape or something that you can use to close the flowers. I like to use blue tape because it is bright and I can find the flowers the next morning. Some people like to use clothespins. A clothespin will certainly pinch a flower closed. If you choose to do that, you'll have to have some way to flag the blossoms that you've closed so that you can actually find them. I like to have a pair of scissors so I can cut the tape, and this is not just being fussy. The next day when I need to open up the tape, it makes it easier. And then some yarn. And you can just use regular yarn of a bright color. I chose something that was thicker so that it would show up better on camera, but just a regular brightly colored yarn. Don't choose green or brown. Something like yellow, orange, or purple or blue are perfect. I actually keep these supplies in my garden basket, and I have a video on how to put together your own gardening basket, and I'll link that for you below. It is just super handy to have all the supplies that you need at your fingertips and not have to go hunting for them when you need them. And this is the sight that greets our eyes in the morning. Those flowers that have been taped shut are still readily visible. The tape is not heavy, so it doesn't pull them down. And let's take a closer look at one of these flowers here. I can see that it is swelling, and as soon as I take that tape off, it is going to want to open. That is exactly what we want, because that means that the pollen inside the flower is ready, and we can use that to fertilize the female flower. Now let's go take a look at the female flower that we're going to be using today. Here she is. Looks good. We have this nice little spaghetti squash fruit down here, and the blossom is starting to look puffy, like it's ready to open. So let's take that tape off and get started. One thing that I want to mention is that the insects are active now. It's a bit later than what I would normally pollinate flowers. It took me a bit of time to get organized this morning. But it is important to get an early start. The insects are flying around the plant now too, which means I'm going to have to work extra quickly. Otherwise, they may get in there and actually pollinate the flowers before I do. And it will also be important to close them quickly. And just how many male flowers are needed to pollinate a female flower? Well, experts say anywhere between 2 to 5 flowers is sufficient. So I picked out several. And I'm just going to pick each of these with a long stem. Doesn't need to be quite as long as what I left some of these. And they are a bit prickly, so beware. And I'm going to pick them off the plant first. And then prepare them all at the same time. Okay, we've got 4 here. That's a good number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tape. And this is where the painter's tape is really handy, because it's less sticky than regular masking tape, as well as being easier to find in the morning. So watch that. See how the flower just opened? That means this one was a good choice. So now, moving quickly, I'm going to open the remaining flowers also and get to pollinating before the bugs find them. Now, with the male flowers, oh, isn't that just beautiful? I never get tired of watching the flowers open. I think that's such a beautiful miracle. With the male flowers, we're actually going to be removing all the petals, so you can just come along at the base of the flower here and remove everything. Carefully. You want to keep all the pollen intact. Okay, we've got 2 ready. Woo! See that? The bee thought it was going to steal the pollen. Now I'm going to take these the male blossoms, and I'm going to hold them in my teeth while I prep the female blossom. And there she opens. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, working quickly, I'm going to take the male flower and just brush the pollen onto the female flower. You'll notice I did not remove the petals on the female flower. That's important. Okay, so that one's done. And I'm going to continue and brush the pollen on every section of the blossom, of the stigma. That's what the female part is called. So I'm just thoroughly doing the work of the honeybees. And again, working quickly, I've reserved this piece of tape. It might be a good idea to use a new piece of tape if it's not so sticky anymore, but before any insects get in there, I've got to close this up. And make sure to capture all the tips of the flower so that you can seal the top and nothing can sneak in. And due to the possibility of leafcutter bees or other insects that could cut in through the flower and mess up my pollination, I am going to take a second piece of tape and cover the rest of the flower. Okay, that flower is completely encased in tape. Nothing should be able to get in there. And the last thing we want to do is we want to mark this so that come harvest time, we can locate it for seed saving purposes. There's no need to hand pollinate every single flower on your pumpkins or squash, although if you're new at this and is as interesting to you as it is to me. You might be tempted to just do a bunch for practice, and that's fine. But you just need a few from each plant to save for seeds, and that will be sufficient. Okay, I'm tying the yarn on and leaving a little bit of room for expansion, so as the stem grows, it isn't going to pinch off the circulation to the fruit, or the squash in this case. A couple other things to note are that it's a good idea to choose male flowers from a plant separate from where the female flower is, so that you can ensure good genetics going forward with your squash. So this means growing more than one plant. About 5 to 10 is a good idea. If you're really interested in maintaining a variety for long-term purposes, then 25 is recommended, but few of us have that kind of space. It is easy enough, however, to grow a couple hills of squash and to have 5 or 10 plants. Well, there you have it. You can see that it's not at all hard, and it's actually fun and rewarding to learn how to pollinate your own squash flowers and to save seeds from these crops. Best results with hand pollination usually come from pollinating early in the season. So when you first start seeing those flowers appear on your pumpkins and your squash and your zucchini, that's a good time to start. Now, it's worth noting that most squash plants will produce male flowers first. So you'll see the long, thin stems, which of course would still be covered by a blossom. You'll see these in abundance before the female flowers and the fruit start to appear. And this is the plant's way of ensuring that pollen is available when the fruit is starting to form. So don't be alarmed if you just see male flowers at first. It's perfectly normal. And if you're really interested in saving seeds from squash and perhaps from other garden plants, I can't recommend this book enough. Seed to Seed, Seed Saving and Growing Techniques for Vegetable Gardeners by Suzanne Ashworth. It is a classic, and it has information on all of your common and even a lot of not so common garden crops that you might be wanting to save seeds from, and it will get you headed in the right direction. This is a handbook to take out to the garden with you and refer to. So don't worry about getting fingerprints and smudges on it. That's what this kind of a book is for. And, you know, saving your own seeds is going to allow you to do a few things. It's going to free you up from having to purchase seeds from year to year because you're saving your own, and you'll be amazed at how abundant plants are with seeds. You will get so much more than a mere packet worth of seeds from one squash. And the value of that is something that you can consider when you're looking at the value of the activities that you're doing on your homestead or in your garden. It really does add up. And you're able to preserve heirloom varieties like what we do here at Chocolate Box Cottage. A lot of the things that we grow aren't available commercially anymore, and the only reason that we can still grow them is because we save our own seeds. So what a blessing it will be someday to be able to pass those seeds on to children and grandchildren that enjoy gardening and show an interest in it like I did at a very young age, and I'd wish the same for you. Thank you for joining me here today in the melon patch at Chocolate Box Cottage. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.